Hello and welcome to another new video for the Scene World channel by Merman, and this Friday we're looking at some recent fanzines that have arrived here. We're trying to provide some new content during this current coronavirus pandemic, and I hope you're enjoying the videos on our channel and will like and subscribe, and there may be some more live streams in the coming weeks. There's some more stuff to unbox. So we'll have a look first at the most recent issue of the FREEZE64 fanzine produced by Vinnie Mainolfi. This is issue 35, April 2020. And as you can see, the main cover feature this issue is Who Dares Wins, and we did a previous video looking at Freeze, some of the early issues, and it's changed quite a bit since then with some interesting features. The cover itself is always an enlarged version of a sprite from the cover story game. And then if we look in the envelope as well, this time we have a Who Dares Wins sticker. Most issues come with a cheat card, which is then based on a previous cover with cheats on the back. So we have load quote issue 35,8,1, number crunching, 3 exclusive interviews, 24 screenshots, 25 sprites, and I'll point out some of the sprites as we get there. So there's a list of features, Send in the Army, list of contributors, and then the main feature this issue is on Who Dares Wins. Quick profile of Steve Evans. Piece about Tommy Atkins, which is the credit in Who Dares Wins 2, obviously the original version. There was a legal injunction against, and talking about all that. So let's get hacking. Give yourself infinite lives, invincibility, walk through the scenery, unlimited grenades. Regular feature. Next, the mouldy cupboard, which is actually a cupboard in Vinnie's house where many of his old games are stored. And this time it's Bath Time from PSS, Personal Software Services. Very unusual one. I've not actually heard of that one myself or played it. Next up, Diary of a Game with the programmer Steve Collins. He's looking back at the arcade conversion Badlands from Atari, a game that's based on Super Sprint with post-apocalyptic vehicles, and you pick up the wrenches to upgrade your car with missiles and so on. And then one of my personal favourite features in FREEZE64 is former Zap columnist Julian Rignall, looking back at an early issue of Zap, so in this case issue 16, August 1986, and looking at the high scoring game. So we've got a picture of Kickstart 2 there. The review is actually of Kickstart 1 to 8, the only 1 to 8 only disc version in that issue. Green Beret, Tour Setai, amazing game. I do love Tour Setai, and there's a very funny cheat you can enter in the computer, well, not cheat, but if you enter something rude into the computer, something strange happens. And then Infiltrator, which I think is one that was better if you played it then. I think now it's very difficult and the stealth section graphics are not particularly great, but I digress. Looking back at those, Secret Squirrel, looking at Molly and Millie. There's a hidden Commodore logo on screen 64, and a hidden insult in the video opening of Vendetta from System 3. And then a day in the life of an alligator dog's body. So in English, a dog's body is someone who has to do all the hard, dirty, difficult work. And I have had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman myself, Peter Frith, who worked at Alligator, and that's mainly what this piece is talking about, but then went on to Alternative High Tech and other places. So he's talking about his early experience of computer games and working at Alligator. Here's an early picture of the Alligator team. Peter Frith, Tony Crowther, Ross Goodley, Dave Palmer and John Stevenson. So that's an interesting interview from someone who perhaps may not have been interviewed before. And tying into the main feature as well, he did the title screen here for the BBC version of Who Dares Wins 2. There's some Z64 discs that he has in his possession, which we think include a WE music demo. Interview also includes some of his favourite things, and you can see here some more of the sprites. So we've got Rocket Roger here, screen skipping feature. So Vinny likes to hack and cheat on games. So here we have cheats for moving through the screens on Barnsley Badger, a game I did the music for, and La Vie de Mort. Second part of Vinny's interview with Stephen Kellett, who created Aardvark on the Commodore 64, Circus Fun, Hyperblast, worked on the Tube as well, and Strontium Dog, tie into the 2000 AD character. There's more little sprites on the margin there. The making of with Shine, the Petsky artist Andreas Zeidler, and some of his amazing art created with just the built-in character set. Petsky graphics, so it's Recall Inc., Captain Silver and Fly Garrick. Pokes and codes for Crackpots, and these are exclusive to FREEZE64, so I won't show too much of them. Shadow over Hawksmill, and we finish with my Commodore 64 Heaven. Murray Snedden talking about his setup and his recent purchase of the Pi 1541. And the back cover this month is an advert for the Future Wars 8-bit, which includes their SD storage solution, so the SD to IEC, the SD to USB, and coming soon is the SD to IEC Plus firmware, the 999 cart range, utility cartridges. There's more coming soon, including the Marina 64 cartridge, and then cassettes. So there's Rodman, which is a multi-format release. On the tape you get Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Atari 8-bit, VIC-20, Commodore 16, MSX, ORIC and ZX Spectrum. And having launched the 999 cartridge range, there will soon be the 499 cassette range. So that's the futurewars8bit.com. And that's issue 35 of FREEZE64. So that's another great issue of Vinny's brilliant fanzine, and I've been a fan of that since the first issue came out. So then on to our second package from Fusion Retro Books, and we have two recent issues of Fusion. This is the Amstrad CPC Special, dedicated to that machine, and this is then issue 10, the regular, and as the top says, most issues cover retro gaming, current gen and indie gaming, tabletop games, toys, board games, and so on. And I have written some articles for Fusion over the last couple of years. And as you can see, every issue comes with brilliant artwork by Trevor Story, Smiler, who you may know from writing Commodore 64 games. So we'll just quickly flick through issue 10 here. Fusion loves Half-Life. Simon Butler reviewing the recent platform game Gris and giving it a score of 10 out of 10. Now, Fusion also has links with Roger Keane and Ollie Frey, and it looks back regularly at some of Ollie Frey's classic artwork, in this case the cover of ZZAPBACK issue 35, where they chose Apollo 18 as the cover. And if we look closely at the ZZAP logo, it does actually say that Ollie realised at the last moment he'd left the logo the wrong way around. On to Toy Polloi, looking at collecting toys, and this issue is the Action Force figure range, and I actually had Action Force toys when I was younger, so I enjoyed reading this. Excuse me. There is a piece here about the Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows, who were one of the enemy groups. You also had Cobra. which featured in G.I. Joe as well. And just a little side note, personal thing here, at the bottom of the list of Red Shadow's characters is the Skeletron, which you had to collect points from the card backs of the figures. And you can see they came on a card back like a lot of action figures. Most of mine removed from packaging. And so I actually have 2 Skeletrons. One was found in my friend's Roboskull, which is an amazing toy. Special Weapons Force, this is the Action Force figures that never existed. An advert for Dinosaur Pie, so Simon Butler, the graphic artist, worked for Ocean and other companies and remains working on graphics now. Does some amazing little pixel art homages to TV, movie, music and so on. And as you can see here, we have the Scooby-Doo print and Han Solo and Chewbacca mug, Ghostbusters t-shirt. So if you're into your retro geeky things, make good gifts to someone. Heaven and Hell, where I discuss the good and bad points. Alan Hamilton here discussing the Super Nintendo and why you should have one. And excellent article here from Aaron Davis about Sacred Armor and Tyriad. And if you ever wondered why it's called that, the game included a comic. And in the comic was a picture of a diagram of the anti-rad armor. But because of the tear in the diagram, it looks like anti-read. So that's where the name come from. Obviously, you are Tal. This is the Spectrum version. C64 animation is brilliant too. And Tal has to collect the pieces to power up the suit, the anti-rad suit, known as Rad Warrior in the States when it was published by Epix. A look at the Saberwolf remix, Saberwolf remake there. And then a review of 1980X, a recent indie game, which is based on 5 separate retro games, including a beat-em-up and a driving game. 8 out of 10 for that. A column from Dave Perry, aka the Games Animal, who appeared on the UK TV show Games Master and famously lost a challenge. Fusion loves Blade Runner, the PC game based on the film, now available again on Good Old Games. That spread tells you about subscribing and taking back issues of Fusion, including the Fusion Annual that was available at Christmas. So at www.fusiongamemag.com. And like FREEZE64, Fusion comes with a little art card, each issue of the cover artwork, which is a nice little collectible. Chris Wilkins, the editor and founder of Fusion Retro Books, talking about the Logic 5 from Milton Bradley Electronics, an early electronic game. We just have to guess the numbers. The Oliver twins write regularly for Fusion, and Andrew Braybook has contributed articles as well. I actually met Andrew Braybook in 2019. This is the story behind Advanced Pinball Simulator, so that was written first on the Amstrad, then converted to the Spectrum by the Olivers, and also to the C64. Fusion loves Metroid Fusion, one of my favourite Metroid games, a brilliant handheld game. Asobi Tech, another retro gamer, YouTube regular, looking at some of the rarest items in his collection now. So this is the Epoch Cassette Vision, which launched with very few games. Games chart flashback with Colin and James. So we have the chart for Nintendo 64 from January 2000, Donkey Kong 64, WWF WrestleMania 2000, Jet Force Gemini, Super Smash Bros. And Rayman 2. And so it talks about the games in that chart and some cheats for them. Fusion Fail, so this is the opposite of Fusion Loves. Fusion Fail is for bad games. And in this case it's Neighbours on the Amiga, tie into the TV series. Joanna McDermott here talking about the musical score of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Retro Man Cave, quick look at the new THE C64, and you can see a video on the Scene World channel of my own thoughts on that. Advert for the Shadow over Hawksmill, the 100th release from Cytronic Software. designed by Trevor Story, the artist who did the cover picture here. And I did an unboxing for that recently on Scene World. So Colin Bell then, There Be Dragons, looking at games with dragons in, Adventure on the Atari 2600, Dragon's Lair Cinematronics, Thanatos from Durrell, there's a good C64 version, Dragon's Breath from Palace Software, Panzer Dragoon, Sega, Spyro the Dragon, Skyrim from Bethesda, and Dragon Age Inquisition from BioWare. And the final game there, Day of Dragons from Be Awesome Games 2019, which sounds interesting. That's the preview of the cover artwork for the CPC Special. We'll have a quick look at that in a moment. Piece on Outrunners by Craig Turner of Revival Retro Events. Order issue 11, and the back is Radar computers, mouse mats, coasters, mugs, key rings, vinyl. So lots of retro related goodies available there. So that's the issue 10, and we'll just have a brief look through Fusion CPC, intro from Darren Jones at Retro Gamer, Fusion Loves Chase HQ, review of Jewel Warehouse, Roland, the what became the mascot of the CPC, named after Roland Perry, and various games there, CPC peripherals. And last year, Fusion did 2 specials, one dedicated to the Commodore 64, which was part of the ZAP annual Kickstarter, and one dedicated to the ZX Spectrum, which are still available. Lemmings on the CPC, which is quite a good conversion. Fusion Loves Gris, very tricky game on all formats. Fusion Fail there is Pit Fighter. There's the art card. Another Ollie Frey cover, dissected, and quite literally in this case, issue 9's cover of the 5th Axis with a giant pink brain. The Oliver Twins talking about their Amstrad CPC story and how they launched their company. Top 10 homebrew heroes, so we have Relentless here, which is coming to the C64 in Relentless DX. There was a 16K cartridge version in 2019 for that competition, and a new version coming out. Vector Volts, Operation Alexandra, Galactic Tomb, which is a good game. The Adventure of Timothy Gunn, which is based on Cobra for ZX Spectrum. Baba's Palace, which is based on the same Game Boy game, Cat Trap, on that Millie and Molly is. That's coming soon from Carlton Handley. R-Type 128, revamped version of that. Mega Blast is a very late commercial release. Orion Prime, which is a point and click adventure. And then, of course, the amazing Pinball Dreams on the CPC from Batman Group. And that's worth playing if you can. Amtix issue 2, classic Ollie Frey cover for the game Marsport. Fusion Loves Head Over Heels. It's a good version on the Amstrad CPC. Doesn't slow down as much as the Z64, and it's got colour. Talking to Adam Peters, who created Amstrad Fanzines and then worked on Amstrad Action, the magazine from Future, who also launched Commodore format, of course. And then Amstrad Hardware Guide, the various forms of that, and a piece about Al Zypho White, who is a fellow YouTuber. And then we have the Fusion ad on the back. So I hope you've had a good look at the fanzines there with me and have enjoyed that. We'll be back soon with more unboxing and live streams for Scene World, and keep watching the channel for our podcasts, retro interviews, news and reviews.